I got something to get off my chest, and it's been bothering me for damn near 9 months or whenever the Gear 5 chapter came out. I'm not trying to be a hater. I like the series, obviously. I even like Gear 5th, but I have a major problem with it. And I feel like no one's really been talking about this, or at least maybe this is just my perspective, and maybe someone else has and I just haven't seen it. I don't like Gear 5th. I even like Gear 5th.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I don't like Gear 5th. This may be controversial, but I think that Gear 5th is the first gear and the first move and the first thing that Luffy has done that it's enhanced Luffy and Luffy isn't enhancing it. What I mean by that is, I think that the reason that we liked Gear 2 and Gear 3 and Gear 4 so much before we knew about the Hiro no Mi and before we knew that Luffy was the Sun God and all that stuff. I mean, we obviously knew that he was special, but the conversation always with Gear 2 and 3 and 4 and the different variations and everything was always, wow, this is Luffy's creativity. This is Luffy enhancing his fighting with his imagination. With Gear 2, obviously he realized like, okay, I gotta figure out somehow to catch up with CP because it just ain't it. You know, obviously he was creative and he did that and we loved it. You know, that made it. And obviously the first time we saw Gear 3, when, at least in the anime, when they kind of gave us that clickbait a bit, that was epic. But we always talked about the fact that, oh, it's Luffy being Luffy. This is Luffy's creativity. This is everything. But with Gear 5, I almost feel like Gear 5 enhances Luffy instead of Luffy enhancing it. And what I mean by that is everybody knows that it's the most crazy power, and obviously Luffy's gonna be using his imagination and everything to be in Gear 5. But if Gear 5, if the awakening itself is supposed to give you crazy imagination and the ability to do whatever, that's when the lines start getting blurred. Especially when there's talk about, oh, when there's awakening, especially in the new chapters where Vegapunk is dropping a lot of these knowledge bombs on us or his own theories. It's very interesting that obviously the devil fruit has a will, or that's what they think, right? And that's what most of the community thinks, that the devil fruit has a will. If that's the case, like obviously Luffy and his devil fruit probably have shared dreams or shared passions or shared wills or whatever. Part of the reason that I loved Luffy so much was because it felt like regardless of the situation that he was put into, it was his personality that was going to come out of the situation and the way that he thought about things and his interesting perspectives and ideas. And I mean, let's be real, they're pretty hollow, but his view of the world and how he saw things influenced his actions. And with Gear 5, I feel like it's the exact opposite. I think that his awakening does impact him, and his ability to be even more creative is sort of Luffy being impacted. I guess we could go back and say, well, Gear 2 and 3 and 4, those are all just his devil fruit manifesting themselves. And you look at Red Hawk and how he's generating fire, and maybe that was just his devil fruit all along, and he can kind of conjure things with his mind. And maybe that's not, you know, what Gear 5 is going to be. Maybe Gear 5 is going to be something that, you know, it is truly Luffy in his imagination. But I don't know, to me, it just feels like it's the first time where Luffy has actually been enhanced throughout really his doing or his own creation or his own imagination. It's not like he went into that fight with Kaido saying, oh, I'm gonna die and then be reborn as some god. And I mean, if that was his plan, then damn, I'm wrong. But I don't know, I feel like that wasn't it. And with Gear 2 and 3 and 4, he planned that. He knew. It's not like it was just some instantaneous thing that happened to him. And I'm not saying that this is bad writing again, and I'm not even saying that I hate Gear 5, because I think it's going to make the story really, really cool. But at the same time, looking at it, at least for me objectively, you know, after almost 10 months past, the shine is kind of worn off for me. And I'm really interested to see how Luffy overcomes the shadow of his own devil fruit. Because to me, Luffy was the reason that the Gomu Gomu no Mi was sick. It was just some regular, terrible devil fruit. And I know that early on when Gear 5 happened, people were pissed because they're like, well, now Luffy's a god. I'm not pissed about that. You know, that's a story I want to hear and I want to see. I want to experience creativity. That's what I love about One Piece. That's everything about One Piece. It's so creative. Everything about it, the world, the villains, the quirkiness, it's amazing. But at the same time, I don't know, I feel like Luffy has always gotten it by himself. He's always marched the beat of his own drum. I guess pun intended. But in this circumstance, it just feels like he's getting enhanced. And I'm not saying this is like other anime and manga where obviously there's plot armor and people just get stronger in fights. And I mean, sometimes we just see that in One Piece, but I don't think that's the case here. I think that this is a legitimate thing, and Oda was definitely planning this for years and years and probably planned it from the beginning, but at the same time still, this one just hits different. I think it's okay to recognize the fact that this hits different and you can still like One Piece. You can still love it. I feel like everyone's just stuck trying to be positive and stuck trying to be a yes man in this community. I think it's okay to have different views. So this is mine. I think Gear 5 is great. You know, I put a clickbait title, but in reality, no, I definitely think that there has been a change in One Piece and change in kind of how I view Luffy. I don't view him any less, but at the same time, I definitely do view him as being aided by that devil fruit, and that's something that I've never thought of for that character before. For example, my favorite character, as I've stated, my favorite Straw Hat, as I've stated, is Zoro. At the beginning, when Zoro got Enma, I really was thinking, oh, Zoro's getting aided by this blade. Maybe the blades do matter. Not obviously the swordsman matters, but maybe the blades are like hockey to a good devil fruit user, where, you know, a devil fruit user can master it, but they will never be able to take out the top ranked people unless they have hockey. And I kind of viewed that the same way with the sword with Zoro. Okay, Zoro could be the craziest swordsman in the world, but if he doesn't get a top sword, he can never take out the top swordsman. Throughout Wano, I realized, okay, Zoro actually has to put in the work to get that. It's not just he gets a sword and he becomes the next level. He has to put in the effort, the sweat equity to get it. So I'm really, really hoping that the same thing happens with Gear 5 and that we get a lot more information about it and we learn that no, it really is Luffy controlling it and how it works. And maybe it's just a subconscious, or maybe he just hasn't mastered it yet. But right now, with what we know about Gear 5, it really just seems to me that Luffy's getting enhanced. And again, I'm not going to say that that's a problem and that the story's ruined and that it turned me off to the story. No, I love the story. This is one of the first few videos I'm making, so obviously I love it and I want it to continue. But I got a problem with that, I'm not going to lie. I can't not say that. Hey, Editor Exist here, and I think the reason that I really wanted to make this video is actually because I'm rewatching One Piece right now. In Dressrosa, when Luffy is fighting Doflamingo after he beat up, or after he finished Bellamy, you know, he basically copies Bellamy and he pulls a law and he just copies someone else's devil fruit and he turns his legs into springs with Gear 2 in the middle of the fight. And I was thinking, you know, this is just peak Luffy being Luffy, his creativity, him mastering his own devil fruit and using that, and him really controlling it because he's taking what he sees in his surroundings, in his life, specific to him, his own experiences, everything that he's done. It's never been the devil fruit controlling that. You know what I mean? He did Snake Man and Bounce Man and King Kong Gun, and he named all of his stuff after stuff that he's seen done living in the forest, you know, throughout his childhood, Pistol, all that kind of stuff. It was him. It was just him coming up with that creativity and stuff. And seeing a devil fruit be able to kind of do that despite his creativity is what's interesting. It's like they're two parallels, you know? You have something that enhances your creativity and lets you do it, and then you have Luffy who's already kind of creative and just doing things in his own way. So those blending together, that's a really interesting dichotomy for me. Is it nature or nurture? That's really the question that it's coming down to. Is this nature versus nurture? And I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of debates about that in the scientific community. This is anime/manga. I doubt that we have those discussions, you know, as in depth as some other people do. But that's really the thing for me. I feel like now this is more nature than nurture, and Luffy prior to was all nurture. So anyways, definitely let me know what you think, how you feel about Gear 5. I'm really hyped to see it animated. I thought in Film Red we were gonna get that, but it was basically just like a stock image. I was kind of disappointed with that too, not gonna lie, but that's okay. That movie's okay. But yeah, let me know what you think. I would love to hear your opinions on that. But yeah, and you know I gotta plug the channel, so please, we're in the infancy of this, so you know, I'm not gonna force you to subscribe, but if you leave a comment or a like, that is definitely appreciated. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a great rest of the week. I hope you have a great year, and I hope all your dreams come true. This has been Big News Exist, and I'm out.